All right, welcome in. Hey, everyone. We just found out Arkansas is going to be a 3 seed in the NCAA tournament. Thanks for joining us. I'm Alyssa Orange, and I'm going to bring in the crew because these are the guys that know basketball best. Of course, I'm sure you recognize their faces. I have Kevin McPherson, I have Ronnie Brewer, and I have Vincent Hunter joining us. And guys, first off, thank you for taking the time to join us. It's an exciting time for men's basketball. How about that, Ronnie? A 3 seed for this Razorback team.
That's great. I don't think everybody was satisfied and happy with how it ended. Not a great second half in the SEC tournament, but hearing this news and getting a 3 seed, I think it's something that fans should be very proud and happy about. And I know Coach Muss and the Razorbacks are excited to get back out there and play again. And a 3 seed is very, very good for us.
Yeah, Vincent, what do you think about this seeding? Because it's one of the highest. I think we looked since the 91-92 season that Arkansas has been a 3 seed. And, it speaks volumes for what this team was able to accomplish, especially down the stretch this season.
Yeah, of course, a 3 seed is very good. Also, just having a high seed in the NCAA tournament is also good for you to win that. So I think it's very exciting. I'm very happy for them. I know that most of them going to get them guys ready. And, they got a little payback in them. So I think it's going to be a very good test for these guys as well.
Yeah, Kevin, you know this personnel on this team so well, obviously covering it all year for us over on hogville.net. But how do you think that this team and the roster, just specifically for Arkansas, is ready to handle something like the SEC tournament where you're playing games back to back?
Well, the good news for Arkansas is they're going to be healthy again because Jalen Williams is back after being out 4 games. And if you look at Arkansas, when both Justin Smith and Jalen Williams are in the lineup, they only lost 2 games this year. A clean slate, you get time to get not only Jalen back, but the roster the way it is, there is no identity on this team, meaning you can't pin them down as being an offensive team or just a defensive team. They can play any style and then make pregame preparations and in-game adjustments to play any style and reinvent who they are. So I think even with the short turnaround after the first game to the second game, I think Eric Musselman, with the first game being on Friday, they get that extra day start time. He can prepare for multiple matchups and have his team ready to possibly advance to the second weekend, which would be a first if you get to a Sweet 16 at Arkansas in 25 years.
Yeah, well, they're already in Indianapolis, so that's a plus. I think that they were watching the selection show from Indy Motor Speedway where they got to tour earlier today, so that was pretty cool. But I know that they're ready. They're already in location. As for where they're going to play, those details haven't been set yet. But by the way, if you're joining us on the web, welcome. If you're joining us on Facebook, by the way, if you have a question for any of these guys, just hit us up in the chat and we can ask those questions as they kind of roll in. Let's get the details, guys, real fast and let kind of people know exactly what's going on. Arkansas, again, a 3 seed. They're going to play Colgate, which I've already seen enough toothpaste jokes to last me the rest of this March Madness. But they play them in the first round on March 19th, which is that Friday. And as I mentioned, it's all in Indy, but they are going to play around the region as well. So they could play in Bloomington. They could play up at Purdue. They could be playing right in the heart of Indianapolis. We just don't know yet. So what do we know about Colgate? Not a whole lot, right? Kevin, have you been able to do any kind of research?
Well, they only have 1 loss. They've won 13 games in a row. The last time they lost was 2 points against Army. And the only thing I know about the Patriot League is that they've only played Patriot League opponents. But they entered Sunday ranked 9th in the NCAA net rankings. Arkansas is 14th. So take it with a grain of salt, as they say, on that net ranking. But it's a good team that knows how to win. I mean, when you get accustomed to winning, I don't care what seed you are, when you don't really know that feeling of losing in a while, you carry a certain confidence. Arkansas had that confidence with a 12-game league winning streak that was just snapped on Saturday. Again, Arkansas didn't have all hands on deck. And if there was any pressure building up with that winning streak, I think some of that gets released with that loss because you can reset. Nolan Richardson's teams did a great job of that in some of his best seasons when he looked at the postseason. Great regular seasons, didn't win an SEC tournament title when his teams were really good, but they'd go on and have big success in the NCAA tournament. So for Arkansas and Eric Musselman, in his second year, they hope a similar formula plays out.
Yeah, Vincent, Ronnie, I know you guys know what it's like to take on just a team possibly you've never heard of in an NCAA tournament before. And, Vincent, when you look at schools like Colgate, the things you know automatically are they're going to be very senior heavy. They're guys who have played a lot of basketball, and they come in with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, being one of those like mid-major teams that wants to be the Cinderella story of 2021. So how do you take care of business and be Arkansas and be able to be successful in this game?
Well, I know one thing you have to do is you got to come in there focused. You can't come in there like it's a cupcake team because like you said they're senior heavy, so nothing really rattles seniors when they get to big moments like this. So they're gonna have to come in there focused and ready to go. And I know Musselman is gonna get those guys prepared, but I do know that you can't take any team lightly, especially when it's a one and done. So I know about that very very well. That happened to me. So I know those guys are going to be ready, and I know they're going to work their butts off and bring that energy, and we're going to be fully loaded. So I think that's going to be awesome as well.
Yeah, Ronnie. Yeah, Ronnie, what do you like, most about this Arkansas roster? And when we've seen the Hogs play and play well and clicking on all cylinders, they're a team that's hard to stop.
I like it because you can't pinpoint. A lot of people like to pinpoint, oh, it's a Moses Moody show. Well, if you really look at the numbers, we've had an array of guys lead us in scoring. JD Note is one of the best guys coming off the bench. Justice Smith has had a phenomenal season. Jalen Tate has been one of our, grad transfer leaders. So there's a lot of different guys, Devo Davis, Jalen Williams, that you can look at our versatility. And, in the tournament, you need everybody to be playing well, all hands on deck. And, we just don't have one guy that you can be like, if he doesn't get it going, Arkansas is going to lose, because we have a lot of versatility in our team. So, I like this setup. I like our seed, and I like the opponent that we're going to play.
We can continue to talk down the road. And again, if you have any questions for us, hit us up on the Facebook chat. But I want to kind of look at just historically what this means and talk to you, Ronnie and Vincent, specifically on being a member of this basketball fraternity at Arkansas, what this means for the program. Under year 2 for Eric Musselman and Vincent, you can start being able to be a 3 seed, make the runs, and break all the records that they have so far this year, have an SEC Freshman of the Year. I mean, this basketball program looks like it's now a hot name in the country.
I mean, it's very good. I think that, when you have a team like Arkansas, when us being one of the biggest schools in the state, you're going to have so much support. And I think that we got behind Musselman, and Musselman did a great job of recruiting. I think that was a very good thing that he was doing, recruiting in the state. And I just think it's going to be great.
Yeah. What about you, Ronnie? I mean, you watch just down the street, and you've seen these guys, I'm sure, in person and up close. And what does it feel like, again, a member of this team and this program, to walk around a little higher? You got the number 8 team in the country. You're a 3 seed in the NCAA.
Man, I think as a former player and an alum of the school, it gives you a sense of pride to say that you're Arkansas Razorback and an Arkansas Razorback fan. A lot of people, didn't know if Muss was going to be the guy. Year 2, he's got him playing at one of the hottest teams in the country, ranked in the top 10, 3 seed. And, there's a lot of young talent in the state of Arkansas, the upcoming classes that are taking notice. So he's doing the right thing. I love his presence on social media. He's interacting with fans. He's bringing the excitement back to Razorback basketball, and just being a former player, it's awesome to be a part of.
Yeah, I'm going to try to pull up the bracket because we've had some questions about how everyone feels about the bracket. And to be honest with you guys, I saw Arkansas number 3 playing Colgate, and I haven't paid attention to since then because we've been running around, right? And as I'm getting ready to try to pull this up and we can talk about it, Kevin, you saw this team, do what they did and lose in the SEC tournament and break that 12-game win streak that they had. Why is it so important for them to forget about what happened in the SEC tournament and move forward?
It's a brand new season, and the other thing about it is you get into the grind of league play, you get familiar with your opponents, they get familiar with you, and now you reset. You get some advantages. I mean, you get a little time off to prepare. You're not taking the time off, but you've got a few days between games to get ready. And not only do you have, Musselman is to me, he's one of the best in the game. at looking at opponents, breaking it down, and figuring out his game plan. And he does it from an NBA point of view where they played an 82-game schedule and quick turnarounds. So you had to do it on the fly. I'm not so sure other teams that Arkansas is going to play in this tournament are going to have that kind of nuanced game planning and being able to make in-game adjustments. When you play in a league over a certain amount of times, teams get used to you. But in this situation, it's going to be new for everybody. You know, Arkansas, in my opinion, is going to have some advantages for that very factor.
Yeah, all right. I've got it pulled up, so I'm going to pull it up here for people to see. This is what the bracket looks like. I know it's a little hard to read because I pulled it up on Twitter because Twitter got instant information for everybody, but we can kind of read it. And I know you guys can't see it, but Arkansas is in that South region, and they are the 3 seed playing Colgate. If they win, they're going to play the winner of Texas Tech and Utah State. You would assume Texas Tech being the 4 seed there the 6 seed there beat Utah State, but again, you have no idea what's going to happen. What do you think if Arkansas advances and then they play a team like Texas Tech, Vincent?
Just from my experience of playing Texas Tech, I think that we're going to have a victory because I think that we can match up real well with Texas Tech. We both got versatile bigs, versatile guards. They rebound the ball really well, and they play fast, and we play fast as well. So I think it'll be a good matchup for us as well.
What do you think, Ronnie?
With Coach Beard and Texas Tech, I mean, you're going to have a well-coached team that's going to be fundamentally sound, that's going to defend and play hard the entire game. So, I love the matchup. It kind of reciprocates what Arkansas basketball's as identity is now. So, if we can get past the first round against Colgate, I think it'd be a really good matchup. But I think that, you get a sense of encouragement and a kind of a chip on your shoulder. We lost in that SEC tournament, kind of like what Kevin said, you reset. And once you get going, you get hot in the NCAA tournament, you never know how far you can go. So I think we win that first game. I think it kind of snowball effects and we can get one against Texas Tech as well.
Yeah, all right, Kevin, I'm going to ask you a little bit harder question because you go into that next 4. You have Florida, Virginia Tech, Ohio State, and Oral Roberts. Arkansas's played 2 of those teams this year. I believe they played Oral Roberts. It might have been a different year, but
They did.
They did. Okay. So then you get past Texas Tech, and we can have fun here. You get past Colgate, you get past Texas Tech. Of those 4 teams, Florida, Virginia Tech, Ohio State, Oral Roberts, which one would you feel more comfortable with the Razorbacks facing?
Well, obviously, the 2 higher seeds on that side would be Ohio State as a 2 and Florida. So if there's any way, and we see this happen in NCAA tournaments year in and year out. We didn't have one last year, so we missed it. But typically, you're going to have some higher seeds get upset. And if you're Arkansas and you can win your first 2 games, you would love to see someone rise up like an Oral Roberts or Virginia Tech and have an upset and advance into that Sweet 16. By the same token, Arkansas has proven it can beat Florida at home, had a second half lead of 15 points, fell behind by a point late, but really won those grind possessions late, those game-winning possessions at the end of the game. And they've done it so many times this year that you got to like Arkansas's chances if it were to play at Florida again, although that would be probably a close game. And then Ohio State out of the Big Ten, that I think would be a tough matchup for Arkansas. But if you get to the Sweet 16 at that point, you've proven that you belong in the top 15 or 16 teams in the country, and you've got a shot to beat anybody. So I like this bracket for Arkansas. Of course, North Carolina, Arkansas fans remember North Carolina, the struggles against that program. North Carolina's an 8 seed in this South region. So there's plenty of, you can look around the region and find storylines. But for the Razorbacks, this seed where they're at right now it lines up with everything this season. When you look at the top 10 ranking, when you look at the winning streak that we've been talking about in the SEC play, all of it lines up as one of the best seasons they've had since the previous century. And, fans have got to be excited, but there's more work to do.
Well, I tell you, the NCAA must love just finding a way to maybe have Arkansas meet North Carolina. Just maybe sometime, somewhere. They just can't put them over there on the other side, complete opposite. They just got to have some fun with us. I know Razorback fans don't want to do that. Hey, I got a question for you, Kevin. It's from Gary, and he wants to know, compared to the teams of the 70s and 90s, who will this team most resemble as they advance, you think?
Well, that's a great question. Eddie Sutton was always given a lot of credit for being able to take his players and beat your team, or take your players and beat his team. And I think Musselman might be the kind of guy that can we've seen him make the adjustments. Colgate's a team that's going to want to push the ball and score. We can play that way. Arkansas can play that way. And then Texas Tech's going to get into you. You know, Ronnie mentioned it. They're going to grind. They're going to play fundamental basketball, and they're going to try to dictate tempo. Arkansas can play that game. If Tech dictates tempo, Arkansas can grind it out and play that way. We've seen Arkansas in slugfest with Missouri. They did it 3 times and won 2 of those matchups. That might be one of the better comparisons to what Tech does. So I think when you compare it to the past, maybe some of Eddie Sutton's teams and the way that they can play against any style because of the preparation, you know, it might resemble more of that. Conversely, on Nolan's teams, it was more about other teams having to worry about getting ready to play the way Arkansas did, because they were nuanced and they were on the cutting edge and really, in my opinion, you know, did a lot of stuff that changed the game on the college level at that time. And so I don't know that Arkansas quite has that quality as some of those teams that Nolan had, but it is definitely one of the better teams in the country, as backed up by that 3 seed.
Yeah, I definitely think you're right. I know we have a lot of fun. We can jump to the round of 32, to the round of 16. I mean, we could kind of keep it going if we wanted to be here all night, but I know this Arkansas team just focused on getting past that first game, because sometimes that first game is the hardest game. You're nervous, you're amped up, it's postseason. So got to get past that Colgate team and move on and see who Arkansas will play next. Guys, it's been a lot of fun chatting with you. I know we're all excited to watch this team and see what they do in the NCAA tournament. It's been since the 2017-18 season since they've been there. So it's a lot of exciting times right now for Arkansas basketball and the women. By the way, the women get slated tomorrow. So excited to see what the women get to do as well down in San Antonio. Guys, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate the time. And thank you guys for joining us either on Facebook or the web. We got a pictorial show to get ready for. Kevin McPherson going to talk some more about this matchup in our show tonight. So stick around for that. And then, of course, we've got coverage of the NCAA tournament from here on out until the Hogs say goodbye, which we hope is not sooner rather than later. So, guys, thanks so much for your time. Everyone else, thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time. Cool. Yeah, we have time. All right, Kevin, do you want to, I mean, we can talk about the SEC tournament.